The average person will work for more than 45 years and may still need to keep working. Somewhere in the same world, a handful of people who retire before 35. The difference between them isn't luck, income, or inheritance. It's 5 years of math nobody actually runs. We're going to run the REAM math on one real person month by month for the full 5 years. And we will figure out if you can become financially free in just 5 years. What if you started with only $5,000? Could you somehow turn that $5,000 into $750,000 in 5 years? And if you could, would $750,000 actually be enough to stop working? Let's talk about Alex. Alex is 27 years old. He earns $85,000 a year. He has $5,000 in savings. And Alex has made an extremely aggressive decision. He wants to reach financial independence by age 32. Not simply leave his current job. Not switch careers. Not working part-time. Alex wants to reach a point where working becomes optional. And he set himself a specific target. $750,000. But where did that number come from? Why $750,000? And is it actually enough to support Alex for the rest of his life? That's where the 4% rule comes in. The 4% rule is a commonly discussed retirement guideline suggesting that a retiree could withdraw approximately 4% of an investment portfolio during the first year of retirement, with subsequent withdrawals adjusted for inflation, under the assumptions of the underlying research and with important risks and limitations. So if Alex needs approximately $30,000 per year to cover his expenses, $30,000 divided by 4% equals $750,000. That's how Alex arrives at his target. But here's the problem. Alex currently has only $5,000. He needs to build that into $750,000. And he has only 5 years. So, can he actually do it? Let's run the numbers. Before we follow Alex's journey, we need to define what financial freedom actually means. Because financial freedom doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to everyone. There are several different levels. Number 1. Full financial independence. This is the traditional definition. You have enough money invested that you don't need employment income to maintain your lifestyle. Your investments provide enough money to cover your ongoing expenses. Housing, food, healthcare, transportation, and travel. And everything else you need. Working becomes optional. Number 2. Lean financial independence. This is a more aggressive version. Instead of having your investments support a large or expensive lifestyle, you dramatically reduce your expenses. Your investment portfolio covers the essentials. If you want additional luxuries, expensive vacations, or major purchases, you might choose to work occasionally. But you aren't dependent on a traditional full-time job to cover your basic needs. And number 3, Coast financial independence. This is where things get particularly interesting. Coast FI means you've invested enough money early in life that, if you stopped making retirement contributions, your existing investments could potentially grow enough over time to support your retirement later. You still work to pay today's bills, but you don't necessarily have to keep aggressively saving for retirement. Time and compound growth can potentially do much of the remaining work. And this distinction is extremely important for Alex, because Alex believes his only goal is $750,000 in 5 years. But there may be other financial freedom milestones along the way. You might be wondering, why $750,000? Let's go back to Alex's $750,000 target. Alex estimates that he can live on approximately $30,000 per year. That means his annual spending target is $30,000. Now apply the 4% rule. 4% of $750,000 is $30,000. That's why the target is approximately $750,000. Another way to think about the calculation is annual spending times 25 equals approximate portfolio target. So, $30,000 times 25 equals $750,000. This is a simplified way of illustrating the 4% rule. It isn't a guarantee. Investment returns aren't guaranteed. Inflation changes over time. Taxes matter. Market downturns matter. And the sustainability of withdrawals depends on many factors. But for Alex's 5-year experiment, $750,000 becomes the number we're going to track. Now let's look at where he starts. Alex has $5,000. His target is $750,000. That's a difference of $745,000. And he has only 5 years. So how does he even begin? The first thing Alex realizes is that he has to attack his expenses. If he earns $85,000 but continues spending like he always has, becoming financially independent in 5 years isn't going to happen. So Alex makes some extreme decisions. He moves from an expensive metropolitan area to a lower-cost city. His one-bedroom apartment costs around $700 per month. He sells his car. He buys a used bicycle. He cancels subscriptions he doesn't need. He stops eating out. He learns to cook. He dramatically reduces entertainment spending. His lifestyle becomes intentionally simple. His goal isn't necessarily to live this way forever. He's trying to create a massive gap between what he earns and what he spends. And that gap becomes investment capital. After taxes, Alex takes home roughly $65,000. If he manages a 75% savings rate, he's investing approximately $48,750 per year. That leaves him around $16,250 per year to live on. That's roughly $1,354 per month. And that has to cover rent, food, transportation, utilities, healthcare, and everything else. This isn't a comfortable lifestyle. It's extremely aggressive, but Alex is determined. By the end of year one, he has invested approximately $48,000. With investment growth, his portfolio reaches roughly $56,000. Alex is technically making progress, but he discovers a major problem. Expense cutting has a limit. You can't reduce your expenses to zero, and you can't realistically save your way from an $85,000 salary to $750,000 in 5 years through frugality alone. That's when Alex realizes something important. There are only 3 major financial levers he can pull. Lever number 1. Income. How much money comes in? Lever number 2. Expenses. How much money goes out? And lever number 3. Investment returns. How hard the money he's already invested works while he sleeps. Alex spent year 1 pulling the expense lever, but now he needs to pull the income lever. Because there's a mathematical reality here. If you earn $85,000, there is a limit to how much you can save. But if you increase your income from $85,000 to $120,000, $150,000, or more, while keeping your expenses relatively stable, the amount available for investing can increase dramatically. So year 2 becomes the year of income acceleration. Alex starts with his existing job. He's been there for 2 years. He's never asked for a raise. So he does his homework. He documents his accomplishments. He researches market compensation. He prepares a specific case for why his responsibilities justify higher pay. And he negotiates. He gets a 12% increase. His salary goes from $85,000 to $95,000. But Alex doesn't stop there. He looks at people in his industry who are earning more, and he notices something. The higher-paid employees have specific certifications and specialized technical skills. So Alex spends 6 months developing those skills. He studies in the evenings. He earns the certification. He builds practical experience. And then he makes another move. He changes jobs. His compensation rises to approximately $110,000. That's a major jump. But Alex has one more income lever. He already has a marketable professional skill. So he starts freelancing. 10 hours per week. At approximately $75 per hour. That's potentially another $39,000 per year before taxes if maintained consistently. His total income is now approaching $149,000 per year. And here's the important part. Alex doesn't immediately increase his lifestyle. He keeps his expenses around $18,000. That means the gap between income and spending has become enormous. By the end of year 2, his savings rate is approaching 85%. His portfolio reaches approximately $135,000. Alex is moving much faster now. But there's a catch. This lifestyle isn't easy. This is where we need to stop and be honest. Because the math can look incredible on a spreadsheet. But Alex isn't a spreadsheet. He's a person. He works his normal job. He studies at night. He freelances. He cooks nearly every meal. He lives in a small apartment. He doesn't travel much. He turns down expensive social events. He skips concerts. His social life becomes smaller. And this is why achieving financial independence in 5 years is so rare. The problem isn't necessarily that the mathematics are impossible. The problem is that the lifestyle required to push every lever this hard simultaneously isn't something most people want. And that's an important distinction. Financial independence isn't supposed to become another form of financial stress. If your definition of financial freedom requires you to hate every day of your life for 5 years, you have to ask whether you've actually created freedom. Alex has chosen this path. But you don't necessarily have to. And year 3 is going to show us why. Alex enters year 3 with approximately $135,000 invested. He's 29 years old. And now something changes. The portfolio itself is becoming meaningful. Alex realizes that his money doesn't just sit there. It can potentially grow. Let's assume, purely for illustration, an average long-term real return of around 8%. If Alex stopped making aggressive contributions at this point and simply left $135,000 invested for 30 years, it could grow to approximately $1.36 million under that hypothetical return assumption. That's the power of compounding. Alex could potentially reach traditional retirement age financial independence without continuing the extreme savings strategy forever. This is called Coast FI. And Coast FI is one of the most underrated concepts in personal finance, because Alex doesn't necessarily need to go from $135,000 $750,000 immediately. He has already crossed another important threshold. He has built a meaningful investment base. Now let's compare Alex with someone taking a more conventional approach. Meet Jake. Same age, same starting salary, same general background, but Jake starts investing earlier and saves approximately 15% of his income. Jake isn't living like Alex. He travels, he has a car, he goes out with friends, he enjoys his income. At this point, Jake has around $38,000 invested. Alex has more than 3 times that amount. So if we look only at the account balances, Alex appears to be winning by a huge margin. But zoom out. If Jake continues investing consistently until age 65, his portfolio can still potentially grow into a substantial retirement balance. And Alex's advantage isn't necessarily that he'll end up with 10 times as much money. His advantage is time. Alex is potentially buying years of freedom. That's the real value of aggressive saving. At this point, Alex has a choice. He can keep pushing, or he can slow down. This is the decision that many people miss when they talk about financial independence. You don't have to choose between work forever and never work again in 5 years. There are many points between those two extremes. Alex could reduce his savings rate. He could travel more. He could buy a car. He could work a normal job. He could still invest consistently. And he could let compound growth handle a larger portion of his retirement. That's Coast FI. For someone who finds Alex's first 2 years completely unrealistic, Coast FI may be a much better target. You could front-load your savings during your 20s or 30s, reach a meaningful investment balance, and then allow time and compounding to do much of the remaining work. That is still financial progress. And it's still financial freedom. Alex, however, decides to keep going. And now we're going to see the biggest risk in his 5-year plan. And that's one of the biggest problems with trying to reach financial independence on an extremely short 5-year timeline. The stock market doesn't care about Alex's deadline. It doesn't care that he's 32. It doesn't care that he needs $750,000. Let's say Alex enters year 4 with approximately $200,000 invested after another year of aggressive contributions. Now let's run 3 scenarios. Bull case. Suppose the market delivers a strong 12% return. Alex's investments grow substantially, and combined with another approximately $90,000 in contributions, his portfolio could reach roughly $350,000. He's ahead of schedule, but he's still far from $750,000. Bear case. Now suppose the market falls 15%. Alex's $200,000 portfolio falls to approximately $170,000 before contributions. Even after adding another $90,000, he ends around $260,000. Suddenly, his 5-year timeline is badly damaged. This illustrates an important risk. Short timelines leave very little room for bad market conditions. A 5-year investment plan is dramatically different from a 30-year retirement plan. Over several decades, you have much more time to recover from market declines. Alex doesn't. His deadline is approaching. Alex enters year 5 with approximately $315,000. His target is $750,000. The gap is $435,000. And he has only 12 months. Let's assume he maintains his aggressive savings rate. Even with his income now around $160,000, he can potentially contribute roughly $110,000 during the year. That's a huge amount. But even after doing that, there's still approximately $325,000 missing. Could investment returns make up the difference? At a 10% return on his $315,000 starting balance, the investment growth would be approximately $31,500. At 15%, $47,250. Neither gets him close. To turn approximately $315,000 into $750,000 in 1 year, even accounting for contributions, Alex would need an extraordinarily high return. That's not a reasonable investing assumption. At that point, he'd be relying on speculation and extremely risky bets, and that completely defeats the purpose. So Alex reaches the end of year 5, and the result is surprising. Alex did not reach $750,000. His portfolio ends at approximately $460,000. He missed his original target by roughly 40%. By the strictest definition of the goal he set at age 27. He failed. But now let's look at what actually happened. Alex started with $5,000. 5 years later, $460,000. He's 32 years old. And if he simply stopped contributing and allowed that $460,000 to compound at a hypothetical 8% annual rate for another 15 years, it could grow to approximately $1.46 million. That's a very different financial position from where he started. Alex didn't become financially independent exactly on his 5-year deadline, but he potentially moved his financial independence date forward by decades. And if he continues investing even a moderate percentage of his income, his path could become significantly shorter. The 5-year challenge didn't produce the exact number he wanted, but it produced something much more valuable. Can you become financially free in 5 years? For some people, yes. But for most people, achieving complete financial independence in exactly 5 years is extremely difficult. And the important lesson isn't that everyone should copy Alex. It's what Alex's numbers reveal. Lesson number 1. Savings rate matters enormously. Increasing your income is powerful, but if your expenses rise every time your income rises, your financial situation may not change as dramatically as you expect. Lesson number 2. There are 3 major levers. Pulling only one lever is difficult. Lesson number 3. Compounding needs time. Trying to force investment returns to solve a 5-year deadline can push you toward unnecessary risk. You cannot control the market. You can control how much you save and invest. Lesson number 4. Coast FI is a legitimate goal. You don't have to reach $750,000 immediately. Reaching $100,000 or $150,000 early can potentially put you on a completely different long-term trajectory. And finally, 5 years doesn't have to mean never work again. Financial freedom can mean having options. It can mean leaving a job you hate, working fewer hours, taking a career break, starting a business, choosing where you live, or simply knowing that you don't have to depend entirely on your next paycheck. The 5-year promise is attractive because it's simple. 5 years, one number, one finish line. But real financial independence rarely works that neatly. The real value isn't necessarily hitting the exact number on the exact date. It's understanding what happens when you increase your savings rate, control your expenses, increase your income, invest consistently, and give compounding more time. Alex started with $5,000. 5 years later, he had approximately $460,000. He didn't buy complete freedom in 5 years, but he bought something incredibly valuable: years of his future life back. Maybe your number isn't $750,000. Maybe you don't want to live like Alex. That's okay. You don't need to. The goal isn't to copy someone else's financial independence number. The goal is to understand your own numbers. How much do you spend? How much can you save? How much can you earn? How much can you invest? And how many years could you potentially buy back? It's about gradually becoming less dependent on your next paycheck. And sometimes, the most powerful financial decision you can make isn't figuring out how to get rich in 5 years. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more videos that turn complicated money questions into simple numbers. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.